You know, there has been some fine bands. Well, Raymond Froggatt, for instance. Yeah.
How many bands were there around when?
Well, I enjoyed the days at the time, but obviously when you're sort of inexperienced.
Roy Wood painted his face before it was cool, wore rainbow colors when everyone wore black, built orchestras from rock bands before anyone thought it was possible. While others followed rules, Wood rewrote them. He played every instrument he could get his hands on: guitar, cello, oboe, saxophone, bass. If it made a sound, he wanted to master it, and then combine them all into something nobody expected. From the move to Electric Light Orchestra to Wizard, Wood chased one vision: big sound. Bigger ideas, orchestras crashing into guitars, cellos fighting with drums, pop hooks wrapped in symphonic chaos. He saw music as color as a spectacle.
I've got a new band together called Helicopters, which I'd like to actually take to America and do some stuff over there.
As joy that couldn't be contained in 3 chords. Birmingham gave him his start, but his imagination had no geography, no limits, just endless possibilities. Behind the face paint and wild hair lived a student, someone who collected records like treasure maps. Each album shows different routes to the same destination. How to make people feel something, how to surprise them, how to build sounds so big they couldn't be ignored. These 7 albums weren't just favorites, they were blueprints for a career spent refusing to be ordinary. Here are Roy Wood's 7 favorite albums, the ones that built a dreamer into a visionary. Subscribe if music should be an adventure. Which record do you think sparked his madness? 7. A Christmas Gift for You. Phil Spector's Christmas album from 1963 hit Roy Wood like a revelation. Not just songs, walls of sound, entire orchestras compressed into 3 minutes. Spector layered instruments until they became one giant voice, drums on top of drums. Guitars multiplied, pianos doubled, bells ringing through everything. The Ronettes, the Crystals, Darlene Love, all singing like their lives depended on it. Wood absorbed every second.
All the stuff that you like at Christmas, and try and squeeze it in there somehow, you know, and it's sort of...
This showed him that more could actually be more. That excess had its own beauty. Sleigh Ride galloped with a dozen musicians playing as one. Winter Wonderland by Darlene Love soared with power and precision. Every song dripped with reverb and ambition. Spector didn't whisper. He announced, declared, commanded attention through sheer sonic force. Wood fell in love with that approach. Later, Wizard's I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day would use this exact template, layers upon layers, voices stacked, instruments multiplied, Spector's ghost conducting from beyond. The genius was in the density. So much happening at once, but somehow clear, controlled chaos. Beautiful mayhem. Wood discovered that production could be artistry, that the mixing board was an instrument waiting for the right hands. Spector showed him how to think bigger, how to take pop songs and make them into events, into experiences people couldn't ignore or forget. 6. Pet Sounds. Brian Wilson's masterpiece from 1966 cracked Wood's world open. Pet Sounds proved pop could be profound. Wilson used French horns in rock songs, harpsichords, bicycle bells, barking dogs, Coca-Cola cans filled with different amounts of liquid for percussion. Anything that made an interesting sound became an instrument. Wood recognized a kindred spirit, someone who heard music everywhere.
New idea.
I think so, yeah. I think I've always been more of an ideas person than a...
Who refused to be limited by what rock bands were supposed to use. Wouldn't It Be Nice, dreamed with full orchestration behind teenage yearning, God Only Knows, might be the most beautiful love song ever pressed to vinyl. Wilson's arrangements were mathematical and emotional simultaneously. Every choice is intentional. Every instrument serves the feeling. Wood studied this like a doctoral thesis. How to marry complexity with accessibility. How to make avant-garde ideas sound like pop songs. The album's ambition matched Wood's own dreams. He was already planning the move's evolution toward orchestral rock. Pet Sounds confirmed the path. You could have cellos and still rock. Could layer voices until they became instruments. Could take chances and trust audiences would follow. Later, ELO's entire existence sprang from seeds Wilson planted. Classical instruments in rock context. Ambition over convention. Beauty over simplicity. 5. Freak out. Frank Zappa's debut from 1966 showed Roy Wood that weird was valid. Freak out was chaos organized into genius. Zappa mixed doo-wop with avant-garde noise, social commentary with silly jokes. Virtuoso playing with deliberate amateurism. The album sprawled across every boundary it could find and kicked most of them down.
I'm glad that we were around in that time rather than being sort of teenagers now.
Wood recognized someone who refused categories, who made art from everything, including the kitchen sink. Zappa's arrangements were dense, unpredictable, and brilliant. Hungry Freak's daddy commented on society while sounding like a deranged garage band. Who are the brain police? Asked questions nobody else was asking. The album ended with experimental pieces that tested patience and expanded minds. Zappa didn't care about pleasing everyone. He cared about honesty, about making exactly the sounds he heard in his head regardless of commercial considerations. This gave Wood permission. You didn't have to pick one style. Could be serious and absurd in the same breath. Could layer sophistication over simplicity. Mix high art with low culture. The move's later work, especially Blackberry Way and Wild Tiger Woman, carried Zappa's influence. Complex arrangements that served strange songs, beauty emerges from unexpected places. Wood learned that originality meant more than accessibility. Following your vision, beat chasing trends every time. 4. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
What would you think if I sang out a tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me?
When the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's in 1967, Roy Wood heard the future arriving. 4 guys from Liverpool had just redefined what albums could be, not collections of singles, unified statements, concepts, experiences. The studio became their instrument.
Different to what we've done before, it's a little bit more jazzy, involving the saxophone players a lot more.
George Martin's production matched their ambition orchestras, sitars, tape loops, calliopes, animals, laughter. Everything blended into something cohesive and completely unprecedented. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds painted pictures in pure sound, a day in the life, built from whisper to apocalyptic crescendo. Every song tried something different, took risks. The Beatles had nothing left to prove, they proved more anyway. Wood absorbed these lessons. The concept mattered. Flow between tracks created a journey. Individual brilliance served the whole. The orchestration particularly grabbed Wood's attention. The string arrangement on She's Leaving Home was heartbreaking. The chaos at the end of A Day in the Life was a controlled explosion, classical instruments enhancing rather than decorating. This was the template. Rock didn't need to abandon its roots to embrace sophistication. You could have both. Electric Light Orchestra's entire mission statement came from this realization. Beatles meets classical, pop songs with symphonic ambitions. Wood co-founded ELO to explore exactly what Sgt. Pepper's suggestion was possible. 3. Walk Away, Renee.
And when I see the sign that points one way.
The Left Banke's 1967 album gave Roy Wood his harpsichord obsession. These American teenagers put baroque instruments in rock songs before anyone called it baroque pop. Walk Away Renee featured harpsichord and strings, making teenage heartbreak sound like classical tragedy. Michael Brown's arrangements were sophisticated beyond his years. Melancholy wrapped in orchestration. Pop songs that ached with real emotion. Wood discovered that delicate could be powerful. The Left Banke didn't shout, they suggested, implied, created an atmosphere through careful choices. Every instrument had purpose and place. The harpsichord particularly fascinated Wood. Its sound was old-fashioned and futuristic, simultaneously brought Bach into the modern age. Made history, and now kisses on record. This album was criminally overlooked but profoundly influential to those who found it. Wood found it and took notes. Later, the Move's Cherry Blossom Clinic and several ELO tracks would employ similar tactics. Baroque instruments create texture, classical approaches to pop structures. The Left Banke proved small bands could create big sounds through smart choices rather than brute force. That elegance had its own strength. That sometimes whispered secrets cut deeper than screamed declarations. Wood carried these lessons forward, always remembering that volume wasn't the only way to command attention. 2. A quick one. Pete Townshend's first mini-opera appeared on The Who's 1966 album A Quick One, and Roy Wood paid close attention. The 9-minute A Quick One, While He's Away, told a complete story through multiple sections, different tempos, different moods, characters and narrative woven through music. Townshend showed that rock songs didn't need verse-chorus-verse formulas, could sprawl, could shift, could take listeners on journeys with actual destinations. The Who played with power but also precision. Keith Moon's drums attacked from every angle. John Entwistle's bass rumbled underneath. Townshend's guitar crashed and shimmered. Roger Daltrey sang it all with conviction bordering on violence, but the arrangements were thoughtful despite the volume. Each section served the story. The quiet parts made loud parts louder. Dynamics as narrative tools. Wood absorbed this approach to songwriting. Later, the Move would create their own suite-like compositions. Cherry Blossom Clinic Revisited spanned over 9 minutes, shifting through multiple movements. Different ideas connected into coherent wholes. Townshend demonstrated that ambition could fit in a rock context. That telling stories through music was valid. That audiences would follow if you gave them something worth following. The mini-opera concept planted seeds. Wood watered them. Eventually, they grew into entire albums built on similar principles. 1. Shazam. Roy Wood selected the Move's second album from 1970, his own creation, not ego, recognition. Shazam captured everything he'd learned and applied it perfectly. Heavy guitars meeting careful arrangements, rock power with pop sensibility. Each song was its own universe. Hello, Susie showcased their ability to be tender, beautiful daughter, proved they understood dynamics. The 10-minute Cherry Blossom Clinic Revisited was Wood's first fully realized epic, multiple sections flowing together. Classical touches enhancing rock foundation. This album represented a transition. The Move was evolving. Wood's vision expanded beyond 3-minute singles. He wanted orchestras, wanted cellos fighting guitars, wanted to combine everything he loved into new hybrid forms. Shazam showed the beginning of that journey. You could hear ELO gestating in these grooves. The ambition, the refusal to stay simple when complex served the song better. What made this album precious was the freedom. The Move had hits behind them. Now they could experiment, push boundaries, take chances. Wood used every lesson from every record. He'd worshipped Spector's density, Wilson's orchestration, Zappa's fearlessness, the Beatles' ambition, all filtered through Birmingham grit and British eccentricity. Shazam was a thesis statement, proof that Roy Wood's wild ideas could work, that more was sometimes exactly right, that following your vision created something nobody else could make. Roy Wood never played it safe. These 7 albums taught him ambition, orchestration, fearlessness, and joy. His music exploded with color because these records showed him the palette. What album changed how you hear sound? Share below. Subscribe for stories about artists who chose spectacular over sensible.